My parents always warned me against a five-way.
Did they really?
You were so young when your mother died. Is that possible?
Her last words.
Brothers, sisters, and siblings, welcome to Penn Sunday School starring Penn Jillette. My name is Michael Ludo. Matt Donnelly, Rennie Rich, Penn and I are broadcasting from our separate homes in Las Vegas. We got the nothing we billboarded on Sunday's show, so let's try it again. Penn's got a quick book report on Hidden Valley Road. We got offers from Puddles and Al Franken, both somehow include Godot. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Jillette.
Yeah, here I am preaching love, and I will explain. Again that Black Lives Matter, and I agree with the protesters, and there's a lot that has to be fixed, and that we have a president that's not addressing that, and I agree with all of that. And I don't think I have much to add to the discussion. I think that if there's ever been a subject that I am a follower and not a leader, Killer Mike has been writing some wonderful stuff. I met Killer Mike in Amsterdam. Some flight to that when we were going to Delft. Now, you know that I don't know. I just found out this week that the Holland and the Netherlands were the same place. Found that out this week.
It's confusing.
Yeah. So I don't know if I was flying from Delft to Scotland, what airport would I have flown out of?
McCarran.
I think I was in Amsterdam, and I met Killer Mike, and we had a wonderful long conversation and a great picture with him. And we were not talking about race relations then, but boy, Killer Mike is an inspiration in the stuff he's saying. And
Glenn says you flew with him from Manchester to Amsterdam.
Manchester to Amsterdam, which is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Manchester to Amsterdam, I flew with Killer Mike. So, I liked him and his partner in Run the Jewels, right? Yeah. I liked him. But I am not going to carry on about that. I'm just going to say Black Lives Matter, and we did the deeply misunderstood blackout on the day we were supposed to, that no one seemed to know what that was supposed to do, and it got misunderstood. And I think we were some of the ones misunderstanding, but we did what we were supposed to do, we thought, and probably fucked it up. But that's what we do. This is Penn Sunday School, where we fuck things up with a big heart. That's what we do. I wanted to address a few of these notes we got. Jason Muirhead said, last Sunday Penn mentioned Australian friends said COVID was badly managed in Australia. I think I was deeply misunderstood. I was saying that Australia, my friend down there said it wasn't done very well, but it was so much better than everywhere else in the world that it looked good. So on the scale of the world, which is the only scale we have,
Right.
Australia did a great job and New Zealand did a great job. On the scale of my epidemiologist friends' ideal, it left some to be desired. But certainly, anybody living in the United States cannot point their finger to any mistake made in any other country. I believe now, on anything. My daughter's birthday, very, very sweetly, David Goldrake, local magician,
Right.
who's from Luxembourg, came over because my daughter's very fond of Goldrake, and he gives her books and they talk magic, and he's a wonderful guy. And
Nice.
He really is great. And he came over, social distancing with the mask. And I made the mistake of asking him how Luxembourg was doing in the pandemic. David Goldrake, who is the most famous person to come out of Luxembourg, by the way, Plucky little Luxembourg, which I just want to say I couldn't pick out on a map. He was talking a little bit about what he had to adjust to in terms of racism, homelessness, bad health care, fucked up presidents moving from Luxembourg to the United States. And it's a tribute to people all over the world that even with the U.S. fucking up so many things, he still wants to be here. You know, he still thinks the people are good. But man, we've made some big mistakes. But I want to tell you that, this the coupling of the riots and the virus, and the fact that the protests certainly won't help the riots. Although I'm very happy the protests won't help the coronavirus, pandemic. But I'm very happy to see that most of them are outside, and many people are wearing face masks. So maybe we won't see a huge bump. But this is crazy times. As a matter of fact, and I think I said this before, but what events of the past few weeks have shown us is that monster movies were really correct on everything.
Yeah.
Lincoln Hyatt, who's one of the producers on Fool Us. You know Lincoln.
Yeah.
Lincoln Hyatt wrote to me that I should watch War of the Worlds. I said, War of the Worlds. Now I always watch dreary detective stuff.
Right.
That's what I watch. Dreary detective. And he suggested War of the Worlds. Now, when you search War of the Worlds on your Apple TV, you get, I think it's 7,000 shows called War of the Worlds. So he had told me that his War of the Worlds was on Epix, which they pronounce Epics, but I believe is Epix, which is where we watched Perpetual Grace Limited.
Yeah. Great
Steve Conrad show. That's what he told me. But I remembered it as AMC because I'm stupid. So there was a War of the Worlds that just came out on AMC. So I watched that takes place in the end of the 19th century, early 20th century. And there was a woman on it, Eleanor, begins with a T. She was the star of Podolk or one of those shows. That's a period show that I don't watch. And she is a wonderful actor, fabulous actor, and I really enjoyed her performance. So I wrote to Lincoln Hyatt and said, wow, the Eleanor, the redhead lead in that, is wonderful. And he wrote back, yeah, it's a great show, and Gabriel Byrne is great. Now, he thought, boy, it's odd, I don't remember a redhead. And I was thinking, boy, it's odd, I don't remember Gabriel Byrne. Turns out there's another show that does not take place at the turn of the last century, but a present-day conceptualization of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds that does have Gabriel Byrne, and the redhead is conspicuous in her absence.
Eleanor Tomlinson is who you're talking about.
Tomlinson. Have you seen Eleanor Tomlinson do anything?
I haven't.
Incredible range. You just believe she's absolutely the person she says she is. I mean, all the acting in this is good, but she just stands out. It's also that her character is really interesting. A aggressive pro-science, liberated woman at the turn of the last century. It's just a great character, and she's great. I just loved her. But she's not in the other War of the Worlds, nor is she in the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds, nor is she in the War of the Worlds documentary about Orson Welles, nor is she in the War of the Worlds that came out in the 50s, nor is she in the other War of the Worlds reconceptualization. But what I learned watching this War of the Worlds is that they're really correct. When I watch Lawrence O'Donnell, which I don't do often, I mostly talk to him, I don't watch him, on MSNBC, and he puts up the graphic that says 110,000 people dead of the COVID virus such and such a city, riots in such and such a city, and the crawl is there underneath and all that. I guess that's CNN, but you know the idea. By the way, did you see the crawl that said Mazel Tov cocktail?
No.
No, that's pretty good.
Some big news people like NBC had a news crawl that said that there was a Mazel Tov cocktail thrown at police. I guess they just figure someone yelling, L'chaim, throwing the Mazel Tov cocktail. And I saw the coverage of the alien invasion, and I realized this is exactly right. He would have a little thing by him that said, aliens have landed. Spaceships have landed from another planet. Here's where they've landed. And then they would go on with their dipshit pundits speaking from home saying, we didn't think there'd be aliens, but now there are aliens. And one other dipshit saying, I told you aliens were going to land, and now they have. What are they going to do next? Well, I told you they were going to land, and now they have. Like all the people that talked about a virus thing, pandemic. Like Gregor, I told you this was going to happen. Good. What do we do now? Well, we told you it was going to happen, and it could happen again. Right. What do we do now? We told you it was going to happen. Right. What do we do now? Same thing with the alien invasion. So I now believe that B movies completely prepare us perfectly for any sort of pandemic thing. I mean, prepare us for any sort of
disaster,
anomaly, news anomaly. Disaster is another word. So if you want to watch War of the Worlds, just remember this. Gabriel Byrne, War of the Worlds Contemporary, Epix. War of the Worlds, Eleanor Tomlinson, Turn of the Last Century, AMC.
Got it.
War of the Worlds, Tom Cruise, don't bother.
I mean, it is interesting because it will be hard to explain in time the way it all went down. I just look back on documentaries on 1968 or documentaries on or even just some years in the 60s in general. And I used to wonder, did they know at the time that they were in this crazy year, or that they were in this crazy moment?
Oh, we know this time.
I no longer have that question. I think we're going to be talking about 2020 for a very long time.
Yeah, we know.
One of the things in reading,
and we knew in '68. What's that?
One of the things about reading How to Survive a Pandemic, I feel like we need to do something. We need to do something. We need to. When I read this, Dr. Greger's answers and solutions and things that have gone wrong seem so clear. It feels like we should be doing something now to stop that.
Yes.
And yeah, we're not. I don't know if you knew this.
No.
My contribution this week was to buy fake meats to try to support that industry.
George W. Bush set up an agency to be in charge of future pandemics. Donald Wile E. Coyote Trump, super genius, eliminated that agency. So George W. Bush knew what to do. Obama knew what to do. I say the way to prepare for the next pandemic is vote the stupid motherfucker out of office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the next motherfucker in office will be less stupid than this one.
Yeah, but the pig farmers are going to continue to raise pigs the way they're going it, no matter who's president.
Yeah. So keep being not eating meat. Be non-carnist. You're the one that was still eating chicken, you stupid asshole.
I've changed. I was over this week buying fake meats. His argument about the milk industry hit me hard. I was like, oh, you're right. We don't drink milk now. We can do the same thing with meat.
Yeah,
let's just do it.
And now, especially with air fryers, it's
yeah, the air fryer was quite good. I did tofu in the air fryer this week.
What'd you air fry in the air?
Tofu. I did tofu and green beans.
Yeah, I've been going to some of the I don't even want to say the name of the place because it's so wonderful. But there's a place that does, vegan sandwiches. And I was so excited. And we ordered food from it for, I think it was Z's birthday or Moxie's birthday. For me, the children wanted something different. And I was just really disappointed. But I'll tell you, what never lets me down, peanut butter on rye with Lay's potato chips on the side. But now, because I've been working out with Jason, and by the way, I have convinced Piff and Glenn saw my arms and saw my chest and how they've changed in 2 months. And they're both engaging Jason Garfield services to give him a workout.
Wow.
Because if you want to get your arms to look different, and by different I mean better, and you want to have stomach muscles that show, and you want your chest to be stronger, 25 minutes is what I'm giving Jason Garfield. And he's doing it on FaceTime.
Every day?
Yeah, I swim some days, take walks other days, and I guess once a week, maybe a day off. But Jason's been doing these 25 minutes. He'll do longer, but I won't let him go more than 25 minutes. And he's really good. So I'll just tell you, Jason Garfield Juggler. If you do a search for that, Jason Garfield Juggler, that'll get you to his website. You can drop him an email and engage his services. Give him a try. He will really make you look and feel different. I feel so much stronger and so much better working out with Jason. It's just really great. And if you want him to clean up your 5 clubs and back crosses, he can do that too. Jason is pretty great, and I've had some real improvement. Also, do you want to deal with this at all? We got a letter from just some trans girl from Australia. That's the way she refers to herself, and she's thinking of going into sex work, prostitution, dominatrix, maybe porn or cam shows. She has 2 young children and a loving partner. What advice would you give to someone in Australia trying to break into that kind of lifestyle as a sustainable job? And Reddy's answer, I think, is really important on this. It's probably irresponsible for Vegas funny man with no direct experience in sex trade to advise you. As the only one in the group who's worked tangentially as a strip club DJ, I can only say, at least here in the U.S., stigma is very real with far-reaching impact. So we would like there to be no shaming on this. We would like sex workers to be treated better. They aren't right now. And we don't know anything about anything, but we know much less about trans girls in Australia going into the sex industry. We know nothing. So we hope things go well. Oh, but this is, and I also want to say the use of the word girl there is a direct quote. So I'm using her term of,
Her choice.
the term that she wanted. Yeah, her choice.
I mean, there's money in it. We should probably say that, right?
I don't know. I don't make money on it. Do you?
No. Oh, I mean, I've given money to it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Ryan Johnson asked, can you give us an update on whether putting chili oil up the nose helped tellers cluster headaches? Didn't seem to. But getting a proper CPAP machine, which you know I love my CPAP, Teller has one too. Penn and Teller is now a 100% CPAP performing group. And his headaches went right away.
Oh, good.
It should have been a hint when oxygen helped him. Because, CPAP is a lack of oxygen.
But we still make him do it every day.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's for our entertainment. And someone reports back about living in Japan since '88 and about people wearing masks. And he says part of it's allergies. Now, when I talked about my allergies, my doctor told me a mask would not help me at all on allergies. This guy contradicts that. And people go in to work with colds and flu, and they still wear their mask to protect others. And he also said it's good for celebrities hiding in public, and it's also good for people who are shy about their looks, like they're wearing braces on their teeth, or they are too attractive for their own good. That will not be one of the reasons I'll be wearing a face mask.
But the cloth ones that you get are probably not great for allergy stuff, but there are better quality masks for that kind of stuff.
It might help.
The N95s, yeah, they might help for you.
So I guess I should talk about this. I'm going to talk to mostly Godot about this.
On the trans girl from Australia, can you talk a little bit about the money thing?
What do you mean?
From when you were doing street work?
You're cueing me, and I don't know what you're trying to get me to say.
About not putting it in the bank.
Yeah, well, yeah. You mean she should get it in Bitcoin or something and keep it somewhere else? Is that what you mean?
Because people are going to think you're a drug dealer.
Yeah, people think you're a drug dealer if you make that much money. I made so much money street performing that it was actually, I could have been busted as a drug. When I went to an accountant, I've told this story before, and I said, this is the amount of money I made last year street performing. How do I pay taxes on it? The accountant said, if you go to the IRS and say you made this money juggling on the street, they're going to think you're a drug dealer. And by the way, I think you're a drug dealer, is what the accountant said. But I don't want to encourage people not to pay taxes because there may be, I think you should, and also there's they may now believe that people make money like that in sex work. I don't know how many people pay taxes on stuff they meet. One of the things that's remarkable in the U.S. that no one ever talks about is that our compliance with taxes is phenomenally high.
Right.
The number of people that cheat on their taxes is just so crazy low. And we hear about people cheating, and we hear about big corporations getting away with shit. And that's all true, but the numbers are very small. Americans, at least, really pay their taxes. It's kind of like they don't cheat at voting, although not cheating at voting there's just no voting fraud, except for, the Russians who are putting things on, LOD. I'll get to this later. First, I want to do this. Now more than ever, I'm going to segue into an advertisement.
Thank you.
Now more than ever, we're all thinking about our health. But if you're like me, it's hard to even imagine going to a doctor's office right now. Thankfully, I love this. There's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. SteadyMD is your personal doctor online. It's telehealth done right. Now, how far did you go with this, Godot?
I went all the way through the questionnaire and stuff. I'm going to sign up for it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Start by taking a quiz. The quiz is great. It tells you what you're worried about. You get a licensed primary care physician. I was offered 4, and I saw their whole resumes and interests. They were fabulous. Next, you have a 1-hour appointment with your doctor to start a real relationship. After that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, and video chat. Telemedicine is definitely the future.
It's the way to go.
Unlike other services, this isn't a random doctor on call. Each SteadyMD doctor has a limited number of patients, so they have time to listen and give you personal attention you deserve. It's really, really good. I'm enjoying it. They also do, they have paleo, gluten-free, keto, Whole30. What's Whole30?
Yeah, part of your questionnaire is what sorts of things are you interested in? What sorts of things do you do? What are your sports? What are your foods? And they match you with a doctor who has those same interests. So you'll get a vegan doctor.
And also expertise like high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, thyroid issues, obesity, asthma. I have very high blood pressure, and I need that to be watched by a doctor. And I take my blood pressure at home, so telemedicine will be perfect for me. All from the comfort of your home. Skip the waiting room, the germs. Prescriptions sent to your home or local pharmacy. All your medical records in one place. You get unlimited access to your doctor for only $99 a month. $100 a month. Cheap. No additional visit fees or copays. SteadyMD will even help you understand and get the most out of your health insurance, but insurance is not required. SteadyMD is now accepting members of all ages in all 50 states. Go to steadymd.com/Penn.
And
take the free quiz and see which doctor is a perfect fit for you. steadymd.com/Penn.
And
that's steady, STEADYMD.com/Penn.
PENN.
PENN.
There's no risk and no long-term commitment to get started. That's steadymd.com/PENN.
And
We thank them so much for sponsoring this podcast. You know, I kind of like, I don't know if anybody else does, but I kind of like doing book reports on the show here. I just finished a book called Hidden Valley Road, Inside the Mind of an American Family by Robert Kolker. This is a family in Colorado, kind of a little older than us. You know, the older children are about 10 years older, and the youngest are a little younger. And the family has 12 children. I told you about this, kiddo. 12 children.
yeah.
And half of the 6 children are schizophrenic. Half of the children are schizophrenic. Being a human being is not easy. Being a parent isn't easy. But you add this problem in, it's just constant pain. And this family becomes a hero family because they allowed blood tests to be taken, and they're very useful in the genetic study of schizophrenia. And it's probably the most mentally ill family in America. And there's a lot of great images. The writing on it, this Robert Kolker is an incredible writer. And he says he envisioned a bunch of marbles rolling down a slope, an obstacle course, an elaborate system of lumps and grooves. Each marble ends up taking a different journey down the slope. That slope is what's called epigenetic. Or epigenetic. I said it right.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Jesus Christ. Epigenetic landscape, part architecture, part chance. And there's incredible scenes in it, like, I'm having an hallucination, he said, still half believing it. Don't you see it? That combination of knowing your mind's going crazy, but not really.
That's heartbreaking.
There are many stories now, and I didn't know anything about this. You know, my buddy Lou Reed had electroshocks in the late 50s, early 60s. They gave him electroshocks. And he talks about it as horror. And of course, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson's character getting electroshocks and turning into, losing his whole personality. They have come back, called ECT, electroshocks, and they're done much more humanely. I did not know this. Accomplished, talented people like Vladimir Horowitz, Senator Thomas Eagleton, Thelonious Monk, Carrie Fisher, and Dick Cavett have all got huge benefits from ECT.
Wow.
Another quote, our culture looks at diseases as problems to solve. We imagine every ailment to be like polio, hopelessly incurable until a miracle drug comes along that can wipe it off the face of the earth. And then this other great thing, he talks about research in schizophrenia. Like riding a merry-go-round, one chooses his horse. One can make believe his horse leads the rest. When a participant ride is finished, one must step off only to observe that the horse has really gone nowhere. Yet it's been a thrilling experience. There may even be a yen to go again. He also, anti-psychiatry is in the latest incarnation has become a movement concerned with legitimizing and normalizing the concept of hallucination, a hearing voices movement. Like the deaf movements and the blind movements. To keep that culture, there's now a schizophrenia movement. And we are human because the people around us make us human. That's my book report on Hidden Valley Road, not to be confused with Hidden Valley salad dressing.
Right.
Now, when you say the most mentally ill family in America, are they counting the Buseys or not?
I believe the Busey is we'll talk about Bill Russell here. The difference between team play and individual play. I think Gary Busey is more like Michael Jordan, and the Hidden Valley Road is more like Bill Russell.
Ah,
Gotcha.
How's that for sports analogy?
loved it.
Sports analogy.
Loved it.
Well, unbelievable.
I think I was dead on on that. So I don't know how much I'm going to give away on this. This may be one of these sections of Penn Sunday School that I regret. We like to have them all the time, but I'm gonna try to be a little cagey.
What contracts have you signed?
I have not signed a contract. This would be a moral failing.
Oh, okay.
And not a legal failing.
The legal ones are usually more fun.
I got a call from Lawrence O'Donnell, which is not a special event. He calls me a few times a week to talk. And we make predictions that are always wrong together. Like we said when Vegas reopened, people would probably be afraid and not many people would come. People are not afraid, and Vegas is filling up to capacity, even opening other hotels. And if you look at the video from there, you see that it looks normal, pre-pandemic normal. Not a lot of people wearing masks. It seems very, very strange. So I said to LOD, Bill Maher, Friday night, I read, I didn't watch it. I read, he was saying that he thought that the lockdown was an overreaction and a big mistake, and we should have never done it. And I've talked to Glenn because I believe that the Gillette household and the Ally household are the only households doing everything as conservative as possible. You get out a little bit, right, Godot?
I go to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. And you get out a little bit, Matt?
Yes. Yeah. And then we're very close with our neighbors, so we kind of have like a larger quarantine bubble and assessment.
Yep. Well, we've done everything right. And Bill Maher said maybe we shouldn't have done that. And we're still doing everything right. We still haven't been out of the house since March 13th. And we wrapped our second T-Taw 2.
Yeah.
We wrapped T-Taw 2, Don't try this at home 2, which we call T-Taw. T-Taw 1 did very well in the CW. Now Penn and Teller try this at home. I haven't got a date for it yet, but the second one's coming out. We finished that all from home. Very, very careful, spraying everything down, being wicked, crazy, nutty, careful on everything. And I said to LOD, who's being very careful as well, although he is going to the studio, but carefully, are we being stupid? Are we going to regret this decision? And LOD had an analogy that I thought was perfect. LOD said, if you drove across Pennsylvania, if you drove all the way across Pennsylvania going 55 miles an hour, and when you got to your destination, your friend was there who'd driven 100 the whole way and been waiting for you in the parking lot for a very long time, would you feel stupid? Because your chances of being injured going 55 are much lower than your chance of going 100. Your chances of hurting someone else going 55 are much lower than your chance of going 100. But the person that went 100 arrives there safely. Do you feel stupid? Or you just say, nah, all things considered, I chose to drive 55. I thought that analogy was perfect.
Yeah.
When I was 20, would I have driven 55? No, when I was 20, I drove 120.
Right.
But now, as a man in a high risk category, with my mother-in-law living here who's also high risk, I'm choosing to drive 55. This car is going 55. This car is not going 100. Should Bill Maher's car go 100 miles an hour? Maybe. And will he be okay if he drives 100? Maybe. If you have the Autobahn and everybody's driving 100, are they okay? Probably.
Yeah, I'd say that I've always been driving 55 to 65 when I used to drive 100. And then I was curious if I could go to 75. And then I watched a bunch of videos of people going 100 miles an hour in downtown Las Vegas and went back to going to 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on with my view.
Right.
He finally gave me an analogy that I kind of sort of understood.
Yeah.
I would never drive 100 miles an hour with my family in the car.
Yep.
There's just no chance.
Yeah. Well, what if Godzilla's chasing you?
Nope, sorry. I'm going to swerve.
Evasive maneuvers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I seeing the footage and the way people were reacting to it, we actually curtailed plans that we were experimenting with expanding stuff and saw what was going on and took a step back. It basically feels we're very, very close to or very similar to the first 2 weeks of the lockdown right now.
Yeah, I think that LOD said another thing, although he ripped this off from someone on his show, talking about the people going out and protesting.
Yeah.
He said he had a doctor on the show who said, is it with coronavirus, can it seem irresponsible to go out and protest when the coronavirus is here? The doctor said to him, absolutely, completely. If you tell a doctor, should I go out and protest, every doctor, every epidemiologist will tell you, no, you absolutely shouldn't. He said, so here's the scenario. A man is running into a burning building. Every doctor in the world will tell you, don't run into a burning building.
Right.
What we need to know is that man's child is in that building.
Yeah.
I think that the priorities for many people, and I will also add, maybe should be for me. I'm leaving that wide open. The priorities for many people is protesting against, protesting in favor of Black Lives Matter, protesting against our president, protesting against systemic racism that still infects our country. There's a very reasonable argument that that's a higher priority than protecting from the coronavirus.
And
I'm not saying I go with that argument. I'm just saying
there's certainly evidence that people understand that they are taking that argument. Not everyone protesting and saying like, whatever, it's no dangerous than the flu. Let's go protest. A lot of people understand that they are processing just that. I mean, a lot of people out there who are feeling the need to die for their cause, whether there's a coronavirus or not, are taking to the streets.
Yeah. They're taking. I mean, the gamble is not just the coronavirus. I should have made that clear. The danger is you may be beaten to shit.
Yeah.
With billy clubs, you may be pushed down and have your head cracked open.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do that, and for reasons that I think are very, very valid.
Yeah.
And I think that civil rights workers in the '60s in the South drove 100 miles an hour.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
They drove 100 miles an hour. So I just think that was my conversation. But then he actually started the conversation by saying, Al Franken wants to get in touch with you.
Oh.
And I said, okay, I like Al. So I got a message from Al and I called him back. We talked for about an hour. I don't know if I don't know if he's gone public with this. I don't think I'm breaking any. I might be breaking his trust, but I think Al Franken is not a Trump supporter.
Wait a minute.
He made that clear to me over the phone.
The Al Franken?
The Al Franken.
I will check Snopes.
But he was writing a short story about Trump. And the premise of the short story is so kind of nice and rich and surprising. Surprisingly, I'm not going to give it away and ruin Al Franken's story. But two of the characters in Al Franken's story are Penn and Teller.
Ah.
And he wanted to have Penn and Teller do a trick. And he wanted to know what trick we would do, how we would do it, and what we would say during it. So he wanted a Penn and Teller bit written for his short story, which I did. And then in the short story premise, which is really good, and whenever he puts it out, you want to read it, he wanted other Vegas entertainers to also perform in this same show. And he said, who should be in that? And I said, well, I was thinking Piff the Magic Dragon, Terry Fader, Carrot Top, and Michael Godot. So I then wrote up an act. I wrote an act for you using your newspaper and using your apple eating and a few other lines for you. and you come on stage and perform. And I sent Al Franken a video of you. The only way I could find of you doing the apple eating was in French.
Yeah, sorry.
So I sent him that one saying, by the way, he's American and speaks English. But this is what he looks like when you're writing your prose. And then I went to Terry Fader's website and found something for him, wrote a routine for him. And then I went to Carrot Top and didn't have the exact right thing there. So I wrote to Carrot Top and said, what bit would you do in this situation? Carrot Top gave me a bit and sent me a sketch, and I sent that to Al Franken. So you now, Godot, may be part of Al Franken's short story with no work on your part whatsoever.
And yeah, perfect. I'm in.
No work on your part whatsoever. And then
It's the kind of job I love.
I got a message from Puddles. We all know Puddles from Puddles Pity
Oh,
Party.
yeah.
Of course.
And Puddles is doing a variety show, virtual variety show, on some sort of, web thing, Zoom thing, whatever. And he has guests. And he wanted me to be a guest. He said, you can do anything. Read poetry, juggle, cook, play your bass, sing, tell a joke, do a magic trick, whatever I want, 3 minutes. And he said, if you can tie it in with social distancing, that would be a really good idea. And I said, okay, how about this for a video, for a 3-minute video? I will say that I'm juggling and I've been club passing. This would be set up on a tripod camera, okay, that is a locked off shot in landscape mode. And it would be me outside with some clubs, and I would be taking 6 clubs and wiping them down completely with alcohol and cleaning them up completely with alcohol. And I would say, I'm a juggler. And you usually picture jugglers as being a person doing a juggling routine themselves. But I was not mostly a self-juggler. I was a club passer, which means I stood with the other person and I would pass clubs between us. And I started out my partner being Mike Motion, who went on to be a MacArthur Grant a genius juggler, and I did a lot of club passing with the Passing Zone. But I really want to do some club passing for you today, and it does follow the social distancing guidelines in that I am 6 feet away from somebody. I have these props have been wiped down. The person I'll be juggling with is wearing a mask. They are about 7 feet away from me, and they've been using hand sanitizer. So now I present to you club passing. And then I will club pass, but the camera will not pull back and the camera will not pan, but it'll just be me throwing clubs off the screen and clubs coming back on the screen and talking about this and talking everything else without ever showing you. And I said to Puddles, do you like this idea? He said, yes, very much. And I said, I think I can get Michael Godot to be the other person passing clubs. So what I'm saying is, would you like to do all the work of a
I get both ends. Like one end I do nothing and get all this credit. The other one I get no credit and do all the work.
Exactly.
Perfect. I'm in.
So
Absolutely.
we'll do that. We'll do that for Puddles, and we'll do that this week. And you can bring your mask, and I'll wipe down some clubs. We'll pick a day that's not windy.
Yeah.
And today I think it'd be a little bit too windy for that.
Yeah, it's ugly outside.
Because we want to be outside, find ourselves a place to do it. So
That sounds like fun.
that's what we're looking to do. So Puddles and Al Franken are both using Michael
It's
Godot.
a big week.
And what have you been up to, Matt Donnelly? Didn't ask you last show.
Oh, it's been a crazy week. So, honestly, talking to the kids about racism and trying to find Black-owned businesses that we can make a part of our routines. It's been a really, I've been just reading and watching stuff and like crying almost every day. It was funny. I even played Springsteen to get my mind off of things, and but that backfired completely. As We Take Care of Our Own came on, and Wherever This Flag's Flown, We Take Care of Our Own came on, and I fell apart in the car So I don't know. I'm watching the Sesame Street thing with the town hall, and having frank conversations with a 5 and a 6-year-old about that they're white boys and what that can mean. And it's really strange. But also it's strange to sit it out. So I don't know.
Yeah. What Jeff Bezos said was pretty startling, pretty profound when he said he had a 20-year-old son. And it never crossed his mind that his 20-year-old son would be choked out by a police officer.
Yeah.
And he said that's because of his race.
Yeah.
It does not cross my mind that Z, who is enormous, big, threatening, my size, when he's 20, if he were African American, he could be considered a threat by once again, a very, very small number of police officers.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there is those small number of police officers have to not feel like they can get away with it.
No, I always go back to this conversation I had in college where, my two friends I had that were black, James and Kofi, were talking to the rest of us at the party who were white and said, what do you guys hear when the cop comes up to your window and you get pulled over? And we all just said license and registration. And they just looked at each other, they shared a look, started laughing out loud. And we were like, what do you hear? And they said in unison, can you get out of the car, please? And we were like, no, every time. And they're like, every time. And I just thought that couldn't be true. And any person of color I've had in confidence, men particularly, I've asked since then, always share that same sentiment.
That never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
The level of my ignorance is astonishing. If you think that not knowing the Netherlands is Holland, my knowledge on racism is just, I have to read more, I have to talk more, to think more.
Yeah.
That is
Son.
From the corrections department, Holland is a region of the Netherlands.
Holland is a region of the Netherlands?
Yes.
So Holland.
And a former province.
This is
what else is in the Netherlands?
I don't remember.
The Hague. The Hague.
North Holland, maybe?
And then they use the word Dutch, which confuses me. But I don't want to derail this. I want to.
My son with the autism is entirely freaked out by this. He doesn't see racism. He just sees other people being dragged from their cars. He's very, very scared of police.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
My daughter conflates it.
You don't want to calm him. I'd be like, don't worry, buddy, you're white. Yeah,
Yeah, it never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also this anti-gay pride going on, which my daughter's very upset about. She identifies very strongly with the pride movement, and paints rainbows on her face, and she's very very upset by this. To her, this is the same issue, and I don't think she's wrong.
No, I mean, what was it? We recently got the local ballots in the mail, and trying to figure out how to research all these local candidates, and I found that the Spectrum, Las Vegas LGBT, as I think as Las Vegas Spectrum magazine, and they go ahead and figure out who the most progressive and open-minded candidates are, and tell you all about them. And it was a very helpful voting guide for local elections.
Well, it's maybe in these elections, I have a friend who has two brothers who voted for Trump, and the reason is abortion.
Yeah,
they think he's a clown, they think he's an idiot, but he's anti-abortion. So maybe the next election, I don't think about libertarian anything. I just think about who is the most progressive in terms of race and sexual orientation, and boom, they get my vote. It certainly could not be easier in the presidential race. I mean, we don't need to say anything about Biden other than you'd have to be pretty racist to beat Trump at the racist game.
Right.
I just said that with so many negatives.
I know.
That it's, what I mean is we don't have to do much research on Biden to find out he's better than Trump on race.
Yeah.
That is that's 5 seconds of research?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's asking anybody, including a Trump supporter. How about that Colin Powell, huh?
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is that it's taken this much for, like, there should be ethics on all sides of an issue, and people of ethics should be getting a voice in these conversations sooner, you know?
Yes, because the Republican Party is not supposed to be the racist party.
Right.
They're just not supposed to be.
And Colin Powell and Mitt Romney and Condoleezza Rice wouldn't be my favorite presidents, but they certainly would not be the most upsetting presidents in history as history looks back on them.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. I don't think. I think we no longer have all of my wishy-washy and all of my bullshit and all of my not liking Clinton. I believe all that's gone, and I do not want Donald Trump to be president any longer.
Yeah.
And I guess we did the one joke about why the chicken crossed the road to pose with the Bible in front of the church. We did that one joke, but I could not have imagined a president tear gassing his own. And I know pepper spray. It wasn't tear gas.
Pepper spray is, you know.
Whatever it was.
You've been sprayed with pepper spray. It's tear gas.
It's like mild buffalo sauce. It just has a little kick to it. It's not.
Yeah, but in your eyes.
Have you had pepper spray, Godot?
I did. I had, this is a stupid story. I had people over for Easter, and I had a can of pepper spray in my house, and my friend's teenage son had found it and set it off in the room next to where we were having dinner. So we're sitting eating dinner, and all of a sudden everybody's kind of going, I feel weird. What's going on? Oh. So the kid finally confessed, I sprayed the pepper spray in the other room. And we all ran outside.
That was the day we went outside. What?
That was the day we had Easter outdoors.
Dining al fresco became a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you have a can of pepper spray in your house?
For camping. Use it as a bear repellent.
A bear seasoning.
Bear seasoning.
Spread all over yourself right before the bear eats you.
Bears love it.
They love it more. Yeah.
Might as well spray it on yourself. Which is actually a story a friend of mine, I was telling him that story. I said, I have a great bear spray story. And he said, oh, mine's better. And he had gone on a flight to Alaska. He was a photographer, and they had landed. They had a guy on who was going out to camp for a couple of weeks, and they were a little concerned about him because he had all brand new gear. But, he wanted to do this, so they took him, and they landed on a glacier, and they drop him off, and they take off. And one of the things the pilot does is he always comes around, does one last pass over you before he leaves the area, just to take one last look, in case you've forgotten something, in case you panic. They look down, and the guy is rolling on the ground in the snow. So they re-land, and they jump out, and they go, what's going on? He says, this bear repellent, I sprayed it on, but I think I'm allergic to it.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
So sprayed himself with pepper spray to try to keep the bear away from him.
Well, sometimes when I have my off, the DEET,
off, yeah.
And I'm trying to spray each individual mosquito. It's really difficult.
It's hard, yeah. It takes some work.
Yeah, we just don't. The repellent is used two different ways.
Yep.
Two different ways. Oh, man. Oh, and then when you think about the guy, then he's in the helicopter and he doesn't feel better for a week?
No, yeah. It's probably 4 or 5 hours before he calms down.
Every time I hear a story like that, I think I could do that. That could be me. I could easily pull that trigger.
No, it couldn't be you because you don't go any place that money doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true.
Never go any place that money doesn't matter, and you never have any of these problems. That was my rule when I went to
somebody
the
at a store sold him bear repellent.
Right.
And they probably used the words bear repellent.
Oh, man.
That is a great day for the bear. If the bear is watching, the bear is just like, oh, he sees the spray. He's like, oh, shit. And then he watches the guy and he's like, this is a great day.
Yeah, he's telling his friends forever.
Yeah.
This story is even better in the bear community. That's a friend of mine, Wheeler, who worked at the American Geological Survey. He was up in Alaska and geological surveying, and they'd walk in teams, and bears there are a big problem. So they all had 44 magnums, and they all had to have it really handy. And what you have to do is make noise like people. So they would take turns, which is amazing, like 5 people walking, take turns singing whole albums. Like he sang all of Greetings from Asbury Park. As they're walking along, that's his shift of 40 minutes. So the bears hear them.
Surprise the bear. You don't want to walk around a corner.
And then someone else did all of Dark Side of the Moon, and they just, whatever they had memorized. And the American Geological Survey said that everybody had to memorize a speech that they would say when a bear was coming at them. Because people know they're supposed to talk, but they don't know what to say. They can't think of anything. And they really do choke. So he said, they told me to hold the 44 Magnum on the bear, and then I have to have something memorized. What should that be, Penn? And I said, Wheeler, it's so easy. I know what you're thinking, bear. That I fire 5 shots or 6. Because since I'm holding a 44 Magnum, most powerful handgun known to man, blow a bear's head clean off. You've got to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Well, bear, do you? And I said that, that's what you've got to memorize and do that over and over again, because then you've got a story forever of standing there in the Alaska wilderness, holding a 44 Magnum on a bear, giving that speech, and the bear turns and goes away. Because the bear's not going to say, I got to know. He's not going to say that. So we ended on a little bit lighter tone, and that's good. Yeah. I think that's all right. And, I'm also doing cameos. If you need a present for your dad and you want me to say anything to him, let me know. Cameo, cameo.com, and you can just do a search for Penn Jillette, and I will pop up there. But for now, that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening,
You become naked.
teacher sang and round us rang the music of the sea.
I know what you're thinking, Bear, that I fire 5 shots or 6. Tell you the truth, in all the excitement, I kind of forgot myself. Since I'm holding a 44 Magnum, most powerful handgun known to man, you gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Well, Bear, do ya? You know we love you.
I got another corrections department. There's disagreement on how to characterize the disbanding of the pandemic unit.
Oh, I really?
It's considered half true on the fact check site.
Okay,
Because a lot of those people have been absorbed into other departments.
I see. 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 See.